How can you use data to improve your personal branding? Most people don't even realize that that question is worth asking. What they think about personal branding is they think about photography, website, or your logo. Maybe they think about messaging, like who they help and the problem they solve, but very few people ask, what does the data say? And that can create a huge problem, because what if the topic you're trying to become known for isn't actually ownable? What if there are categories with massive opportunity that you're completely missing or overlooking? And what if the difference between becoming the go-to authority in your space and remaining invisible has nothing to do with your branding assets? See, I've spent years helping experts build thought leadership brands, and one of the biggest surprises is that the answers aren't found by looking in the mirror. They're found by looking at the data. In this episode, I'm going to show you why some experts become the obvious authority in their category, while others can create content for years without gaining any traction, and how your data can reveal opportunities that most people will never see. Let's dive right in. Now, if you found this video by search, nice job. It's a very good question. Most people don't even realize that there's data to look at. Now, there are 3 areas of personal branding. And so a person might only be looking at the first part, which is how you look, right? So your website, your logo, your style guide, your headshots, your colors, all those things, that's a part of how you look, right? Your thought leadership image. So when people think about personal brand, that's the part that they think about. Some people think about part 2, which is your messaging, your thought leader messaging. This is all about who you help, okay, who you serve, and the problem that you solve for those people, or the solution that you provide, right? So who do you help, and what's the outcome that you deliver? Both parts are critical, but you're going to remain invisible unless you have the third part. And the third part requires looking at the data. It's extremely rare to have people look at the data and map out a strategy to own their topic. You know what your expertise is, right? You know about all the experiences, and you know how you've been able to help people and how you've been able to provide those solutions. And so what I'm talking about with the data is finding out how people are searching for that. Like when people are searching for overcoming their challenge, or they're trying to figure out their problem or the solution, like how do they achieve blank? What are they typing in? Because we know the jargon, we know the terms, we know the system and the steps that we use, but how do they phrase it, right? What are they typing in? That's actually critical, because if you can dig through the questions that people are asking online, and you can find all these different groupings of questions, you know, oh, okay, I know who this group of people are and what they're asking, and I know what this group of people is and what they're asking, and you can decide which one is my target audience, okay? And you're going to make this comparison across hundreds of different categories. I call them branches because I use a tree analogy. But as you're looking at these hundreds of different branches and figuring out which ones are your target audience and which aren't, so you kind of separate them. Let's say these are the good ones. Then you can look at, okay, which ones are ownable, which ones are really competitive, and which ones are more available. So maybe you've already watched some episodes where we've talked about finding those branches, and you've seen examples of that, but I want to go into more detail about what makes a good category, what makes a good branch. Now, one item that makes for a really good branch is a high total volume possible. Now, if you've heard me talk before, like hundreds of times, I talk about finding a leaf title or a very specific question that has a little trickle of search traffic. Oftentimes it might only be 10 searches a month or 20 searches a month, and I've convinced you over and over that that is gold, and it is, okay? Now that leaf or that title is one leaf on a branch. And is that a big branch? Like, are there 250,000 searches every single month on that branch? If that's the case, that's pretty good. If all the leaves on that branch, even the ones that just have 10 searches a month, if there are a ton of questions like that leading up to a big branch. So that's one criteria, is what's the total volume that's possible. The second criteria that I look at is how many 10-word questions does this branch have? I should probably start showing you this stuff. All right, so here's how I organize the branches. This is actual work that I've done for one of my clients. And some of the branches we've explored are sound practitioner, sound healing. Now notice the difference in size of these branches. And notice the difference in total volume. The total volume of this first branch is 2,360 versus 102,050. So the total search volume possible every single month is either 2,000 or 102,000. And then you look at the number of 10-word questions. Okay, neither branch has any 10-word questions. That's what this column shows right here. So there are 3 9-word questions in this one, and then it was that 7 8-word questions. The branch up here only has 2 7-word questions, then jumps down to 5 and to 4. So the more higher number questions you have on the branch, the more valuable it is. Let's scroll down and look at some others. Got a very small branch there and there. We've got a branch here with 1 10-word question. We get down to this one, questions about a singing bowl. There are 2 10-word questions. So you want to look at these things as you're comparing different branches. Now, that's my criteria, but as we find branches like that, you need to look at them yourself and, one, answer the question, how well do you know this subject? Is this your core area of expertise? Do you know this inside and out so you could run circles around these topics? Then the other side of it is, are the people that's asking these questions, are they your target audience? Are these your dream clients? Are they in need of the services that you sell right now? Right? So 2 sides to that criteria. 1, does it match my rules for what makes a good branch? And then 2, is it a good branch for you? Right? Now, other data that we can look at when you find a good branch to really understand, is that branch ownable, is you can do a competitor analysis. Now, the bigger the branch, the more questions there are with higher word counts. That's a very good indicator, because it is so rare to find big branches like that where your competitors have been this tactical. Right? So just finding a big branch, you know that that branch is more ownable. But then you can do a competitive analysis where you can see, all right, they might be strong in this category, but how many of these questions have they actually answered? And a lot of times we might find a list of 50 questions, and the strongest people have only answered 10 of them. Well, don't start with those 10, start with the other 40. Start to build more momentum, and when you rank for all those 40, you can then tackle the other 10 and you'll rank above your competitor. So in talking about owning your category, we let the data dictate the content that you create instead of what you see everybody else do. They're just coming up with creative ideas of, what do I want to talk about today? What am I excited about? What do people really need to hear from me today? Or what's going to go viral, or what's trending? You don't have to worry about any of that. You just let the data dictate what content you're going to create, so you can just step by step start taking over your category. So when you're trying to build a personal brand, you can create your image, you can figure out your messaging through your expertise and who you help, but owning your category, you've got to have data. If you don't have data, you can't build a personal brand. If you only focus on the first 2, you'll still remain invisible. It's like building an amazing, beautiful restaurant that's hidden away in a forest that no one can see from the road, right? No one knows it's there. You're going to remain invisible no matter how good that restaurant is. And it's the same with your personal brand. You've got to work on category ownership. The person who follows the data becomes the owner of that category. And it doesn't tell you how to look, it tells you where the opportunity is. So now that you understand this perspective of data and how critical it is and how it can position you as a thought leader, the bigger question you can ask is, what happens when you successfully own a category? What does that look like in the real world? And how does someone go from being one of many experts to being the go-to authority in your space that dream clients are consistently finding you? So the goal isn't data. The goal isn't the content. It's not even personal branding. Those are all tools. The real goal is becoming the trusted authority in your space. It's turning an expert into a thought leader, right? So I'm going to link to another video right there called What is Thought Leadership? I want to show you in that episode what separates a true thought leader from everyone else in their industry, and how category ownership works. And you'll see why some experts become the obvious choice while others continue to compete and try and get attention. All right, so go watch that video next. I'll see you there.